sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hate. They used to laugh at me, their children called me names. I would run and hide, feeling so ashamed just for being born. I was just a boy, punished for a crime that was not mine.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to A Spoonful of Comfort. And grace be to you. Grace be to you and peace from God the Father and our Lord Jesus Christ. And may grace and peace be multiplied unto you, and may health and prosperity be multiplied unto you. I am Claudine Jackson. I am your host for A Spoonful of Comfort, which is to remind all of us that we not only want to get comfort, that we can give comfort. We all have the ability to give comfort. And I want to bless the Lord. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy, holy name. I will bless the Lord. I will never forget the glorious things that he has done for me and is still doing for me. I am very thankful, and it wasn't always that way. Sometimes when we're going through things, we don't realize that we're being blessed even as we're in the midst of our trials and tribulations. So one of my favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans for hope for the future. Well, there was a time when I read that and wondered, can it come true? But if you read the Bible and you believe what you're reading and you try to live it, then God produces his results in you, which is why I'm sitting here doing a show, because God has produced results in me that I wasn't sure were ever going to come about. Another one of my favorite scriptures is they that wait on the Lord will renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings as an eagle. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. And that's Isaiah Isaiah 40:31. I like to tell you where you can find them, but sometimes I might slip up and not be able to tell you. Now, you can reach me by email, Jackson Claudreen at sbcglobal.net, CLAUDREEN, Jackson Claudreen at sbcglobal.net. And you can also reach me on Facebook. I always forget to mention Facebook. You can be my Facebook friend, and you can see some of the shows that I've done that are on Facebook. They are also on the WHPR website. So you can go to WHPR on demand and see my Spoonful of Comfort shows. You can also see some of them on Facebook. Now, I am a deacon at Mount Vernon Missionary Baptist Church, and I have mentioned that before. And the Mount Vernon Church where I am a deacon is not the one in Detroit, because there are two. I am a deacon at New Mount Vernon Missionary Baptist Church in Ferndale, Michigan. It's 1 block north of 8 Mile and 1 block south of Wyoming. And we're having a very busy weekend this week because we are installing a new pastor, Pastor Jeremy Mosley, who is a young, dynamic, filled with the Spirit preacher. And we are very blessed because we went for years without having a permanent preacher. I've been a member of New Mount Vernon for over 45 years. I didn't attend on a regular basis because of my son's disability, but I've been a member there for years. And so we've had some trials and tribulations even with the church. So hopefully this is the start of a brand new venture for the church. So this Wednesday at 7 o'clock, there is a service. Thursday at 7 o'clock, there is a service. Friday, we're having the Shepherd's Ball, which is the gala to welcome our new pastor. And Sunday, we are having two church services. So I will be busy being a deacon this weekend. But I don't feel like I'm a deacon only in church. I feel like the qualities that make you a deacon, and whatever qualities you have, whatever church you attend, they're not just for inside that church. They're the qualities that you are supposed to bring into the world with you. I went going from the church to the club. I want to mention the 20 grand reunion that's coming up August the 11th. So you can attend some of the Mount Vernon services, and I'll be there. And if you do, please come and speak to me. I'll be very happy to speak to you. You can also attend the 20 grand reunion. The 20 grand reunion will be August the 11th at Burt's Burt's Marketplace on Russell, 2727 Russell, which is right across the street from the Eastern Market. Now, the 20 grand, younger people won't know much about the 20 grand, but people in my age, 60s, 70s, 80s, the 20 grand was a destination back in the 60s and 70s. The 20 grand was a building that had a bowling alley, a 20-lane bowling alley, and it had a nightclub and a snack bar. That was on the first floor. The nightclub there was called the Fireside Lounge. Then when you went upstairs, there was a big ballroom called the Gold Room, and there was a showroom called the Driftwood Lounge. And the Driftwood Lounge is where entertainers performed. And entertainers from all over the country came to perform at the 20 grand. And when they were off and they were in Detroit, they just came to attend the 20 grand. But back in those days, it only cost $5 a night to see some of the biggest stars in the country. $5. But they did have 3 shows per night. So with your $5, you paid, you saw the show, and then you left in an hour, and there was a turnover. Everybody had to leave. And then if you came back, you paid another $5, which some people did sometimes. So entertainers back then did 3 shows a night for 10 nights in a row, and people paid $5 to see them. So the people that came at the start and stayed for the whole evening, they paid $15 because they'd have to leave and go out and then come back. But the 20 grand days are gone. I don't think there's any place. Well, I know there's no place where you can see that kind of entertainment for $5. And many of the best performers in the country performed at the 20 grand. And Motown, I'm talking about, I started at the 20 grand in the 60s, and Motown was getting big back in the 60s. So all the Motown artists, they performed at the 20 grand before they went on the road. So it was a wonderful, wonderful time when you could go out and have a good time with $20. Nowadays, it costs more than that to park. So I'm going to take a short break, but I want to remind you to vote on August the 7th for the primary. We need people to get out and vote because we want to have some say about who our leaders are. So I'm going to take a short break. I will be back with you. Stay tuned for a Spoonful of Comfort.
When ran away from home and from everything I had ever known.
I was sick and tired, living in a town filled with narrow minds and hay.
They used to laugh at me, their children called me names. I would run and hide, feeling so ashamed
Just for being born, I was just a boy, punished for a crime that was not mine. Life ain't so easy.
Thank you so much for sticking with me for a spoonful of comfort, and I hope you are giving comfort, especially if you're a man, because women, we nurture and encourage and give comfort on a regular basis. So if you're a man who's not giving any comfort, remember, you can give comfort too. Even my son, who is handicapped, wants to give comfort. If you say, I need a hug, he comes to you and he gives you a hug and he smiles. I want to talk to you about my book, Inspired by Autism. I have mentioned the book before. I've mentioned that you can get it here at the gift shop, here at WGPR, here at WHPR, 160 Victor in Highland Park. You can get the book here, and I will even sign it for you. You can get it in the gift shop. I talked about the book, but I want to mention a few things about the book. In the back of the book, there are comics, because after I quit crying about autism, I found out that there was some funny things about autism. So in the back of the book, there are comics about things that really happened with my son, who is now 43. He still can't read or write or talk, and he's been the ultimate challenge of my life. As every parent who has a child with a handicap, it's a challenge. And the Purvis Foundation started because people that have a handicapped child that have low incomes, they can't afford the things for their children that wealthy people can. In fact, someone mentioned that you have to be rich to get your child better. So for the Purvis Foundation, we don't necessarily get the child better, but we try to do things to help the parents deal with their situation. So I want to mention a few of the funny things that happen being the parent of a child with a handicap. He was so destructive and so aggressive that for years I did not take him anywhere. Well, with medication and behavior modification, his behavior changed and he became much easier to deal with. So I thought, well, now I will take him to the store. At this age now, he loves going to the store. He loves doing his own shopping. So I took him to the store. He was doing his own shopping. He buys French fries. I said, if you ever ask my son where potatoes come from, he's going to think they come from a bag in the supermarket and that they're already cut. So he buys French fries, he buys sausage, he buys potato chips, he buys the things that he likes. Well, he had a box of maxi pads. I no longer had need for them, so I tried to put them back. He wanted to bring those maxi pads home. That was part of his shopping. So instead of me creating a scene in this store, I decided just let him have the maxi pads. And that's what one of my comics in here is about. But come to find out, the maxi pads commercial had waterfalls and flowers, and he'd seen that, and that's why he wanted the maxi pads. He had no idea what they were for or what he was buying. Another time, as he was improving, and I could tell him, PJ, it's time to get dressed. Go put your clothes on. And he would get dressed. Because for one while, he did not want to wear clothes. I had a hard time getting clothes on him. But I said, this one day I told him, PJ, it's time to get dressed. I was downstairs. He went upstairs and he got dressed in my nightgown. He came downstairs wearing my nightgown. He was jumping up on tables and chairs back during that time. So he comes downstairs with my nightgown. I said, well, I guess he's not doing as well as I thought, because when you say get dressed, he doesn't know what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So after that, I would lay his clothes out, and then I'd say, it's time to get dressed. That's one of the comics in here. Another one of the comics, he loved to cook, which is nothing I would ever have taught him because I would have thought it was too dangerous. But he did like to cook. So the way I discovered he liked to cook, I was cooking his fries for him one day because he ate French fries every day. They say that potatoes increases the serotonin level in the brain, and it helps people with autism and other handicaps have a sense of well-being. So that's why he ate French fries all the time. So he loved to cook the fries, and he loved fried chicken. So I would have him help me season the chicken and put flour on the chicken before I fried it. So one day we were frying chicken, and I said, would you bring Mama the flour? Because we'd done it so much that I thought he knew what ingredients went. So I said, would you bring Mama the flour? So instead of him bringing me the flour I was talking about, he went into the living room and got a vase with flowers in it. So that's another comic that's in here, understanding what flour meant. And one of the other comics is in here is about when I was the president of the Wayne County chapter for Michigan Society for Autistic Citizens. I was the president of the Wayne County chapter, and we had an event to raise money for autism. And my son can sing. He cannot talk, but he can sing the melody. So I thought, well, we'll get him to sing with his sister who does sing. And I thought, since this is a benefit for autism, whatever autistic behavior he shows, people will understand. So when it was time to sing, instead of him facing the audience, he sang with his back to the microphone, with his back to the audience, and that's how he sang. So I said, well, so much for people understanding autistic behavior. But there are melodies. He can't do the words, but he does the melody, and there are a lot of songs that he will sing just the melody. And he seems to have gotten out of wanting to sing as much as he used to. Now, on the cover of my book, there's artwork. This is his artwork. For one while, he was doing a lot of artwork, and I thought he's going to be an artist. Well, at some point, he decided he did not want to do artwork anymore. But I wanted his art to be the cover of the book, but the publisher wanted me to be showing the artwork as the cover of the book. So if you see my blog, A Spoonful of Comfort, that's on the internet. If you go to aspoonfulofcomfort.org, that's also his artwork. So I'm always trying to show what he can do as opposed to what he cannot do. So the book is called Inspired by Autism because he inspired me to sit down and write this book. And if he had not come along, I never would have sat still long enough to write a book. And I know that. So I want to share with you a couple of poems from the book. The book has comics, it has poems, and it has stories of my experiences with my son that has autism. So I want to share a couple of poems. I want to share a poem that his father wrote. His father will have been gone, Purvis Sr. will have been gone 10 years, starting in August, it will have been 10 years. And I included a couple of poems that he wrote that are in the book. And this one is called People Too. Handicapped children are people too. They're just as human as me and you. sent to us from God above, and it's up to us to give them love. Some can't run, and some can't walk. Some can't see, and some can't talk. But there are lots of things that they can do, some even better than me and you. So let's come together in our point of view. Give them a chance, your life to enhance. Give them your best because they've passed the test. Heed the call. Don't let our children fall. Their inspiration can overcome doubt. Let's give them something to cheer about. Take a stand throughout the land to lend a hand to your fellow man. When Purvis wrote that, he recorded it as a song and gave it to United Foundation to use, but we never did get everything straightened out. But he inspired Purvis to write. He inspired me to write. So this child that I thought was going to be my ruination caused me to accomplish things that I wouldn't have accomplished without him. The poem that I want to share that I wrote is called A Love So Pure. And it's something that I never thought I would write because he gave me so many challenges and so many difficulties when he was younger. But as he got older, and like I say, with medication and behavior management, he started learning how to control himself. This is called A Love So Pure, a poem that I never thought I would write. A love so pure that I am sure it's coming straight from God. This kind of love comes down from above and right into my heart. Your smiling eyes were a big surprise that I never thought I'd see. So who knew that one day you would be smiling down at me? How could I guess that I'd be blessed for taking care of you? You taught me a lot of things about how love can be true. I never thought the day would come when you'd be teaching me. So now I'm sure that when love is pure, it's unconditionally. And this child taught me a lot. I thought I was teaching him, but he taught me a lot. He taught me about unconditional love. He loves me whether I've had a shower, whether my hair is combed. He doesn't see all that. So I learned about unconditional love from him. I also learned about living in the moment. He's not worried about the past. He's not concerned about the future. He's not concerned about bills and struggles. So I learned from him that I could live in the moment. So this person that I thought was going to be my ruination turned out to be, I used to say he is my burden. Then he became my challenge. And then he became my responsibility. Now I say that he's my blessing. And I know that handicapped people is not everybody's favorite subject. I realize that. But my son cannot talk, so I feel I have a responsibility to be a voice for the voiceless because he's not the only one that cannot talk. There are many people with autism and other handicaps who cannot talk. And when I was on the State Board of Directors, I was on Governor Blanchard and Governor Engler's. I was on their advisory committee for people in the state of Michigan with disabilities. And one of the things they used to say is that we're all only one accident or one illness away from a disability. My son's disability is called a developmental disability because it's something that he was born with, as opposed to a disability that came about from an accident or an illness. Now, there is the vaccine debate. I do not know if the vaccine causes autism, but I have a suspicion about it, as many of us other parents. Our children's behavior changed when they got their shot. My son got his shot in 1976. Up until then, he was developing normally and perfectly. And after the shot, his behavior deteriorated. His condition went downhill immediately. So I knew it was a shot. I would not say do not vaccinate, though, because there are some parents who say we not to give the vaccine. But I realize that giving the vaccine is something that we have to do. But every child, their body cannot take, this was the MMR, measles, mumps, rubella vaccine in 76 that he got. And that's the vaccine that parents have pinpointed as when their child got that vaccine, they their behavior changed. So these, I've shared with you some of the things that I have in the book, and hopefully you will get a copy of the book. You can get it on the internet. You can download it from Amazon. You can also buy the book from Amazon. It's also an e-book. So if autism had not come into my life, I never would have sat still long enough to write a book. I never would have sat still long enough to write some of the poems that I wrote, but I have been and still am inspired by autism. I want to share another scripture with you before I go. I'll be going off the air in a minute. And it's Romans 8:25. For we are saved by hope. For we are saved by hope. But hope seen is not hope. For what a man or woman seeth, they don't have to hope for. But if we hope for that we seeth not, then we do with patience wait for it. I did not always wait with patience, but my hope was affirmed, and yours will be too. And until next week, next Tuesday at 1:30, right here on WHPR, please tune in for a Spoonful of Comfort. I say thanks to R.J. Watkins and thanks to Henry Tyler, because they have kept this TV studio going for over 40 years, and it gives those of us in the community a voice, and I'm so thankful. And until next time, may the power of God protect you, may the love of God enfold you, and may the presence of God comfort you. And remember, give someone a little comfort.
When I was 17, I ran away from home and from everything I had ever known.
I was sick and tired